There's me overseas, across the pond by the Dover Peaks. I've smuggled myself into new nationality.
Hey, what's up again, guys? This is Halfway, broadcasting from around the world in Phnom Penh, Cambodia. And today I want to talk to you guys a little bit about being successful in your job or your career path or whatever you're doing to try to make an income. So this can pertain to teaching English, or it can just actually be anything, whatever you're doing, especially like if you're trying to work your way up in an organization, if you're working somewhere and you're like more in like a bottom level and you're trying to move up in an organization, I'll try to give you some pointers, as well as just if you're teaching English and you're trying to increase the value of your self-worth as a teacher. I will try to talk about some of those things to help you guys out a little bit. I'll give you some advice, and again, this is, my personal experiences, things that have worked for me in the past, and that, still maybe continue to work for me here. So, take what I say with a grain of salt if you want, or if it's something that you think you can apply into your regular life, I think that would be, something maybe that you could do. But first of all, the most important thing, like any job you have, just take it seriously. It might be a job even if you don't like your job. Maybe you shouldn't stay with that job. But if your intentions are just to make money, there are so many places where you are probably working. There are probably people working at places that are watching this video that maybe you're not making as much money as you want. But if it's a large company, a large organization, a huge corporation, even if you're at the bottom, there's definitely ways to move up. And there are ways to make more money. So if at the end of the day, making money is your goal, and your goal is to, have a nice life and, make more money, and that's your only goal, then definitely, take your job seriously is the first thing. And by that, I mean, have pride in what you do. That's kind of the most relevant thing as to taking your job seriously, is having pride in where you work and what you do. You might not always agree with all of the rules and the regulations where you work. You might not always agree with what the management has set forth for what you have to do. But part of moving up in an organization is realizing that you're not the owner of that company, you're not the boss. And even if you disagree with things, like there's ways to present things that you disagree with in like a professional way, and stating it at the right time and in the right way. And if you work for a good company and you have a good idea, I think most companies will take some effort to embrace their employees' perspectives. But it's up to you to not sound like you're complaining or bitching about something, but to, again, have a well thought out idea as to what is either the problem or a solution that you have come up with, and present it to somebody in the right manner. But again, just going back to taking pride, like I've had so many jobs like where I've started like at like the bottom. Like let's say before I moved to Cambodia, I was working at a warehouse, and I was with a temp agency, and I was literally, so what I was doing was I was taking damaged products, and I had to take out like the products that were damaged. So they have like this big pallet, and I'd have to take out the products that were damaged and, separate them and refill them with a good product that's not damaged. Because sometimes when they're stacked up on the pallets, they'll get crushed, or a forklift might hit them, something along those lines. But so what I did was I did my job. I did what was in my job description. But I would also, if I had downtime, I'd pick up a broom and I would just walk around. I would sweep half the warehouse sometimes, because there'd be sometimes there'd be like 40 minutes of downtime, like where nothing was damaged, the warehouse was like kind of cleared out. So I could have just sat there and like texted on my phone, or like, which I'm sure a supervisor would say something about, but I saw it happen, people did that. Or, you could try to find something to do. So again, I'd go around, I'd sweep, I'd mop, I would go out, I'd empty garbage cans. And now we had like custodial people who worked at the warehouse, that was, their job. But what happened was I started doing this, and I didn't just do it once. Sometimes like people do, like they go out of their way and do something once, and they're like, oh, like nobody noticed that. Like my manager didn't even like notice that I did it. Don't do it once. Like keep doing it. Like just keep doing whatever you can do to make the organization more efficient, run better, make your managers happier. Like again, these are the people that are essentially directly above you, and if they see that you're doing something that's making the organization better, making their job better, making things look better to their higher ups, like that's going to reflect so positively on you. So again, I just, I'd go around, I'd just do any little mundane thing I could do. If I had downtime, I'd pick up a spray bottle, I'd start spraying down the walls and cleaning them, just so I always looked like I was doing something. I never had a minute where I was like just sitting around doing nothing. If my job was done and what was in my job description was finished, I would do extra stuff. And I know like some people are like, oh, well, why would you do that? Because there's benefits to that in the long run. So like what happened was like the company actually ended up picking me up as like an actual like employee. They certified me on a forklift, which came with a significant pay raise. I started running I had a small team. I had like maybe 5 or 6 individuals. So whenever we'd have new people come, they'd kind of be shifted over to my department, and I would kind of like be in charge of them. It wasn't like an official leadership position, but it was enough that they trusted me, and that I showed like enough respect for the company, and I showed good judgment that whenever new people would come, they would always get shuffled into my little area, and they would essentially be working under my guidance. I would be literally leading them. My supervisor would be like, hey, like every day would be like, hey, these are your guys, tell them what they need to do. And like that's one example. I've worked at other large companies where, again, I started at the very bottom, and I've had like low-level leadership positions in companies, training positions, low-level management positions. I've been like a beverage supervisor, and again, these are all like, I started at the bottom and just worked my way up a little bit. And like it's the same thing here. Like if you're coming here to teach, you can just be like an average teacher and do what you got to do. And I don't claim to be the best teacher at all, ever. Like I've been doing this for half of a year or so, a little over half of a year teaching now. But like my school, actually one of the guys that has contacted me, I got him a job also working at my school. It's another guy. This is the second guy that I got working at my school. So kind of what I do with my school is I give them the information. Like you guys are sending me your resumes and stuff, so I give my school the information a little bit ahead of time as opposed to the other schools I send them out to, because they're my school and I want them to have the pick of the litter, so to speak. But so they hired this one teacher who's like an awesome teacher. He was teaching in like Taiwan, I think like Korea or something. He's been teaching for like years. And like sometimes like I feel like I'm getting the hang of teaching, and I feel like I'm like becoming like a decent teacher. And I just watch this guy, and he blows me out of the water. Like he's an excellent teacher, I think, at least in terms of his planning and his structure and what he does. But that's another thing too. Like learn from people you work with. Like don't get envious if there's people that are getting promotions ahead of you, or there are people that are becoming like shift leaders or supervisors. Don't just get mad. Look at what they're doing and look at what you're doing. What are you doing differently, or what are they doing differently that you're not doing? Because like I feel like people get mad or envious a lot of people that are succeeding over them. And look at what they're doing. Look at their job performance. Look at if they take pride in their job. If you feel like if you ran a company, imagine if you ran a company, is this a good person that represents what we want for our company? And even beyond that, because that's so subjective, if I ran a company, you could say, this is how I would do it. Imagine if you were the owner of the company, you already know the rules and the processes that they have in place. Imagine if you were them, what would you expect out of your employee in that instance? And even if you disagree with the things, remember, it's not. If you want to start a company, go out and start your own business, start your own company. But in the meantime, while you're working for someone else, just remember, like, it's their business. Like, you have to either quit or just do the bare minimum or do a good job. I don't know, guys. Just I just hate to see people that I feel like can be succeeding that aren't. So just remember, like, suck it up, do a good job at work, and like there are plenty of doors. And remember, like, as long as like you're doing what you do, leading by example, having pride in what you're doing, like there's so many opportunities for you. And again, this is, you know, whether it's teaching English, if you could put on your resume like a lot of like good things that you've done for a company, or even if you're working with a good school every, you know, few months, like 6 months, 3 months, 6 months, whatever, you know, asking for a raise or showing like, hey, this is where I was, this is what I was doing. Here is like your expectations of me, here's what I've done, here's how I've gone beyond those expectations. And, you know, you could be making more money again in that instance. But yeah, guys, so this is, you know, pertinent to anybody, just anybody in the workforce, whether it's, you know, whether you're teaching English overseas or you are working at a, you know, big box a big box like store, whatever. The opportunities are there for everybody. Some, you know, that's super philosophical and we can get into a debate about the economics of all of that. But just, you know, if you're working for a big company, like, and yeah, so that's the thing too, like if you work at like a large company, or any business, but networking is so big, like knowing the right people. And I'm sure like you guys have heard the expression, it's not, you know, it's not what you know, it's who you know. But I used to also work at a very large, I don't know if I'm not going to say the name of the company on here, but a very large company, which was actually probably one of the best jobs I ever had, and I do this often. But at that company, something that I would hear sometimes is, you know, the saying, again, so it's not what you know, it's who you know. But they would often say here, it's not who you know, it's who knows you. And that's the thing, like, who can vouch for you? Who, even if you're going in for a promotion, you put in for a promotion. So maybe your immediate supervisor knows you and knows you're awesome, that's really cool. But how much better is it if you know, like, your, like an area manager or somebody who's even, you know, 1 or 2 levels above your manager. And that person's like, hey, I know that guy, that's a good guy, I see him every time he's out, he's doing something, he comes up to me and talks to me, smiles with guests or customers. You know, he's always interacting well with them. So again, guys, like there's so many ways like that you can do. It's just, when I was, like I look back to it, when I was younger, I remember like as an early teenager, I started working when I was like 16, probably from when I was like 16 until I was like 20, I was a pretty terrible employee because I was totally like fight the power and I'm not, you know, I'm not gonna sell out and I'm just gonna do whatever I wanna do and, you know, screw everybody. But then like as I started getting older, I was like, wait a minute, this isn't working. I'm not making more money. So then like I started really applying myself a lot more. And then that's when, you know, things started getting a little bit better for me. I mean, that's your, you know, your personal choice as to what you want to do. But if making money and getting promotions and being successful is important to you, those are, you know, some things that I definitely recommend maybe experimenting with. But yeah, just any little things that you can do, guys. Like, honestly, make yourself noticeable. Make yourself pleasant to be around. Even if you're a great employee, but you have a terrible personality, like that's like you're debilitating yourself from expanding your potential. And even, again, go back to the other company that I was working at, like, I've heard people say also a saying, like, fake it till you make it, which sounds messed up, but even, like, I'm personally, like, in all honesty, like, I'm not, like, I don't like being around people all that much. I like spending a lot of time to myself. I don't really like engage in much social situations as much as I have to. But in terms of business or in terms of what I have to do, like I do. Like I get out and I'm very nice to people and I don't want to present myself that I'm being completely fake. But at the same time, like, I like to sit at home and I like to be by myself, in all honesty. But when the time presents itself, when I have to go to like a meeting with a director from a school, and it's this big nice school, you know, I don't go in there like, oh, I don't want to be here. I act like I want to be there. And because I do at that point, like I do want to be there because I'm trying to expand what I'm doing. And it should be the same thing with your jobs, even if you're not a people person, but you work, let's say you work in a restaurant, and you're not a people person, just those few, you know, whatever, you're there for 6 hours, 7 hours. For those 6 or 7 hours, pretend you're a people person and just do it. And I promise you, like, I guess not everybody can do that. And so at that point, like, you might have to look into what can I do? Go work in a warehouse. Like, that was one of the cool things that was pretty awesome about the warehouse I worked in was I didn't have to deal with the public. Like, I could go to work grumpy and, like, you know, as long as I wasn't being like a dick to anybody, like, I could get away with it, kind of. You know, so look at those options. There's lots of different options. So I'm talking about, like, people who are, this is more geared for, I guess, people that are on the lower end of job placement. But again, I mean, it could be true for, you know, whatever your job is, a lot of stuff. Anyway, I feel like I'm almost rambling at this point. But anyway, guys, I have some stuff to do today. It's Sunday. I have to catch up on some schoolwork for tomorrow and stuff. But anyway, guys, this is Halfway broadcasting from around the world in phenomenal Penh, Cambodia. Peace, guys. Be easy.